Hey guys, it's been a little while. Figured I probably should explain where I've been, and I really don't have it in me to record the normal Sky Wars commentary or anything like that. Um, so I'm jumping on this world. It's where I've scrapped the survival video. I've decided not to do this one because it was a little too ambitious and you can't do it. But that's not the point of today's discussion. Um, I need to explain where I've been. So, for those of you who don't know, I made a community post a few days ago. I think it was almost 2 weeks ago now, explaining what happened. So, Monday, June 10th, not this most recent Monday, um, I went to the gym with a couple of my friends and bandmates. It was a good, productive day. We all did very good. And things seemed to be going well. And so we were like, you know what? It's hot. We just finished at the gym. We should go swimming. So our band manager and my best friend has a neighbor who will let us go over to their pool whenever we want, as long as my best friend was there with us and as long as he texted them beforehand to let them know that we would be there. So we were like, oh, okay, we can just call him up real quick and be like, hey, you want to go swimming? And then, we can go from there. And so that was the plan. And we messaged him and he wasn't responding, and we called him and he didn't answer, and so we were like, maybe he's just with his girlfriend. Um, and then my mom texted me. So we stopped to get some food, and I told my mom that, and then I was like, hey, by the way, is it also okay if we go over to his house after and go swimming? And my mom's like, yeah, have you heard from him recently? And I was like, I heard from him this morning. Why? What's up? And she goes, well, I just saw that a teenager in his area was hit by a car and had to get life flighted out. So I wanted to make sure that it wasn't him and that he's okay. And I'm like, what the heck? Okay. So we called him a couple times and he wasn't answering, and so we were starting to get a little worried, but we were still kind of holding out hope. And so our idea was we go to his work and we see if maybe he's just at work. So we went to where he was working, which is where I was planning to work. And we walked in and we looked for him and we couldn't find him. And our backup plan was to go to his house. If he wasn't there, we were going to go to his house and then see if he was there and just like busy maybe. So we get there and we don't see him anywhere, and I'm starting to get worried. And so I go up to one of the other employees and I'm like, hey, is he here today? Is he working? And they're like, no, did you hear what happened? And at that point, I didn't need them to say anything else, but um, I I asked them to explain a little further. I said, no, what happened? And the employee tells me that he was hit by a car. He was involved in a pretty bad accident. And so my heart stopped. It felt like everything in me went numb. And so we left, and I was like, okay, I need to go home. So I went home, and my mom didn't know what happened yet either, and she was concerned because I wasn't responding because I didn't have it in me to text. I didn't have it in me to tell anybody. I could barely get words out other than take me home. So we got back to my house and I went inside. And up to this point, I was still just in shock. There was no tears or anything yet. I was just like, what the heck? How could this have happened? Um, but as soon as I got into my house, something snapped, and the tears came out, and I was just sobbing into my mom's arms because my best friend was just hit by a car. And so we figured out, we did a little detective work to figure out what hospital he was at, and then we went. I took Fallen, and one of our other friends came by too, and we went to see and visit and see what was happening. And at the moment, he was in the back. They had taken him back for surgery, and so we were like, okay, we'll wait. And so I waited a couple hours, and they were like, okay, well, he's in between surgeries right now. We're not going to take him back for another few minutes. So if there's anyone that wants to see him, now's your chance. And I was like, me, let me see him. I need to see him. And his mom was like, just so you know, I've been back there and it's not pretty. And I'm like, I don't care. I need to see him, you know? That's my brother. I need to see that he is alive. So they let me go back, and I mean, they weren't lying. It wasn't pretty. It was bad. And so they weren't letting us. Trying to find the words. Sorry, someone came into the room. I have to cut that part out. So I went back and I saw him, and I saw that he was alive. And then they weren't letting us talk to him because it would be too overstimulating for his brain and it could hurt him. And so we didn't talk to him. We just kind of sat there and looked at him. And the reality of it all hit me all at once. And I didn't cry there because they were like, if you're going to have an emotional outburst, that could hurt him too. Noise will hurt him right now. So you need to be careful that you're not overstimulating him. And so I was like, okay. And so I held it all in. And then I cried some more once we left the room. And once I went home, they kicked us out because visiting hours were over for non-family members, and so we left, and we didn't go back the next day, and then we went back Wednesday, and Wednesday they were letting us talk to him, and so I told him, like, like, hey, I think, this whole thing really sucks, because it's really scary, you hear about it all the time, but it's way different when it's someone that you know and love and care about. And then I started making jokes and just doing anything I could to make him feel better, because at this point he was in a coma. They had him in a medically induced coma. And so I was just trying to do whatever I could, because people can hear you in comas. So I was trying to do whatever I could to make it a bit more lighthearted. Um, and then they were only letting us go in for about 15 minutes at a time, so I had to call it quits. But they were like, okay, well, you can come back soon. Maybe not tomorrow, but soon. So we were like, okay. And then Thursday came along. And it was just me and my dad home. And he woke me up at about 7 a.m. And he was like, hey, we need to talk. So, I've just woken up. My brain's kind of groggy. And I'm like, okay, what's up? And so he breaks the news to me that he isn't going to make it. The the brain swelling was too much for too long. And we knew it was a possibility, but at this point, my dad knows a decent bit about brain damage, and he said that even if he survived, he would be brain dead, and he wouldn't be the person that I knew. So I was devastated because some old lady who couldn't drive, she was going way over the speed limit and just didn't even try to stop at a stop sign. Just killed this 16-year-old boy. So I was devastated. And I was like, I need to go see him. And then his mom um, made the executive decision that they would be pulling the plug because the surgeons and the doctors and the nurses told her the same thing that my dad told me. And not only that, but um, in their attempt to treat him, they found that not only was there severe brain swelling and severe brain damage and bleeding, but there was a brainstem injury, which means that even if he lived, and even if the swelling and the bleeding didn't kill his brain, he wouldn't have been able to move or breathe or do anything for himself. And so his mom had to make the hard choice to unplug him. So Friday, the 14th, I had to say my last goodbye to him. And I told him that I love him, and that this really sucks, and that I'm gonna miss him. And I hope he heard everything, and I hope that I said everything I needed to say. But that was the last time I saw him, and the last time I ever spoke to him. They they donated his organs, which is something he always wanted. He always wanted to do that when he died. So they donated his organs, and he's gone. He's dead. So I've taken a little leave because it's really hard. I am, we're both 16, but he's my best friend. He's a brother to me, and I really don't know how to cope with him not being here anymore. So I took a little leave. I think I'm going to try to get back to it soon. Not saying I'm immediately going to go straight back to the same upload schedule, but I'm going to try. Because he always believed that if I really tried, I could make this happen. And I want to do it for him. I want to make this happen for him. But, yeah, that's where I've been. I don't really know what else to say. Yeah. So that's the update. Sorry, I know this is probably kind of out of the blue, and also you don't really know me, but I figured I owe you an explanation of some sort. So I'm gonna head out.